All right, so obviously there's Stonehenge. So I'm here. This is great.
I mean, it's not enough just to come to take pictures. It's more absorbing energy than giving. The more visitors there are, they masturbate the energy of the place.
They masturbate it. This feels more alive compared to Stonehenge.
Hello, my name is Jacob Todson, and for the last 2 years I have been traveling the ancient world making videos on spirituality and religion as was practiced by the ancestors of the past, and how it's being revived today. And despite the nature of this content, there is one place I have not visited until right now, and that is Stonehenge. Stonehenge is one of the most recognizable ancient sites in the world, and this reputation is what gathers over 1 million people to visit it every single year. And for this video, I'm joined by Avebury, a new friend I have met in my 30-day experiment living in England's most pagan town. Make sure you subscribe for when that one comes out. Avebury is from Argentina, and this is his first time visiting Stonehenge. So I decided to invite him to share his initial thoughts on our 1.5-mile walk towards the monument from the visitor center.
Now, how do you actually feel about Stonehenge, though, so far? Like, how's your pre-Stonehenge experience?
My pre-Stonehenge experience is that I always feel that the more visitors there are, they masturbate the energy of the place.
They masturbate it?
Yeah, like they kind of absorb the energy of the place when they don't come with the noble energy, when they don't come like with pure intentions just to. I mean, it's not enough just to come to take pictures. It's more absorbing energy than giving. So we have to come to these places to give energy, not to absorb and absorb the energy. We have to bring a praying, we have to bring singings, whatever is your belief. You have to go to these places to give energy, not to absorb. Because then if we go there and we start absorbing, we kind of...
There's nothing left afterwards.
There's nothing left for the other people. So you have to align your talent and skills and bring them here. And these people, the next visitors, they're going to channel the energy that you left.
Oh, and I feel it very similar because, you know, being at the visitor center and just seeing how many people are there. Also considering that the price is £30 a person.
By the way, Jacob was not happy at all.
No, I
since
never
I know him, I've seen the angriest voice since I met him. That was the angriest moment I had with Jacob. Like he completely transformed his face.
Yeah, I think my thing is like, you know, I get understanding like trying to keep sites sacred, and we have to keep them up and pay for them. But at the end of the day, like £33 a person, that's not to keep up the site. That is to make money, you know, because there's so many other sites in England that are either free or way less money. And it's the fact that it's Stonehenge. It's the fact that it's popular. It's the fact that everyone knows about it and people come here on tourism. So even though this probably is supposed to be one of the most sacred sites in England, you know, that's what it was built to be. Now it's just a tourist attraction, and the price reflects that.
I will add also, I think like pricing, I mean, also filters people, so there is less possibility of contamination.
Right.
However, like
I hate to see it before it wasn't filtered.
we were not filtered in this case, but maybe money shouldn't be the only way to filter people. Maybe we should also like do a frequency check. Like say, okay, what are your intentions
So
here?
you stand in front of them like, hold.
No, you're out. In terms of money and attractions, this is a good subject to speak about. Like seriously, sometimes we need someone who protects this from graffitis and all that. And I think like paying for these things in a considerable amount, I think is fair.
I just know, yeah, from my experience, a lot of people, when you ask them about like Stonehenge, like especially locals, they'll be like, oh, don't go to it, it's shit. And it's sad that that's the reputation. And I think part of that reputation now with people that live around here is because of the ultra tourism around it. And I think, you know, the locals, especially like local people who are in spirituality, they'll much more go to like the smaller sites and do things there, which, I mean, I think that's good. Is maybe this almost acts as like a net. It catches all the tourists. They all come to Stonehenge and they don't go to the other places. So the other places can stay more sacred, but they all come here, spend their £33, take the picture and walk away.
It is true. Like I've heard that they come here on the solstice.
Yeah.
They come here,
Yeah,
right?
so, yeah,
like a belief.
The order of Druids come here and they have a ceremony. So I guess at least they're allowed to do that.
Every year, thousands still gather at Stonehenge to mark the solstices and lesser attended equinoxes at Stonehenge. This event is very important to the legacy of this monument because it serves a very similar purpose that we hope to that of the ancient ones who built it, who were clearly enamored with the cycles of the sun, particularly with the solstices.
It seems like a lot of people elect to take the shuttle bus. And I think it's that mentality of, well, I paid 33 pounds, I'm gonna take the shuttle bus.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but the walk here is actually quite nice. Yeah, it's beautiful fields around here. And you can see why, like, you know, people in the ancient past would have chosen this as like a sacred site. You know, I think by walking around here and just seeing the openness of it. It's hard to feel spiritually excited coming up to Stonehenge because of the over-tourism, in my personal feeling. I hope that I'm wrong when I get up there. I'm like, nope, it's still special. But I do know that, like, except for those certain times of year, you're not allowed to actually go into the site. Oh, I think I see it. We're getting there.
Oh, okay, we're getting there. We see them.
All right, so obviously there's Stonehenge. So I'm here. This is great. There's all the tourists that are here as well. I am one of them. You know, and so when I walked up here, sorry about the flappy hood, it is very windy. But obviously coming up here, you know, I was thinking that I really don't like that we're not allowed to go into it anymore, especially when paying 33 pounds. And I definitely was just like, oh, I paid 33 pounds. I should be allowed to walk among the Stonehenge. But then you see the hundreds and thousands of tourists that are going to be here today, and imagining all of them being in there at once, walking around on the earth, especially the wet earth of England, you know, that's just not going to go well. And so I get it. I absolutely get it.
Stonehenge is thought to have been constructed around 3500 BC, and it was continually added onto over a course of about 1,000 years. Now, while Stonehenge is of course an impressive looking site, what has baffled archaeologists the most is the fact that the varying sizes of the stone, which is around 22 tons, these stones were not harvested close by. In fact, some of these stones came from over 225 kilometers away in Wales. The construction of Stonehenge was no easy task and took many generations of people working together towards a common purpose to complete. And more mysteriously is that the generations of people that built this site are largely unknown to us outside of the hundreds of stone monuments that they left behind scattered across Britain, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and much of coastal Europe. The who and why of Stonehenge will more than likely remain a mystery to us for as long as these stones still stand in the rolling hills of southwest Britain.
There's not much more I can add to the conversation of Stonehenge that hasn't been done. This is one of the most researched ancient sites in the entirety of the world. People with much more education and know-how and spiritual know-how have researched this, have celebrated things, who have, you know, had ceremony here. And so I guess what I can add is my experience and my perspective, because I know that people watching this channel aren't necessarily going to get to ever visit this site. And so what can I tell you about this, looking at it from a pagan perspective? There's definitely some sacred geometry to it. The way it's constructed is very impressive, obviously. I'm more attracted to the giant stone that is like right here. This is a huge stone, like this is massive. And the way it kind of sits almost like a sundial is very interesting. The other thing that I noticed that I feel like I was never told or it was really talked about when it comes to the common knowledge about Stonehenge is the amount of burial mounds that are spread throughout here. So there are several burial mounds over here that can still be seen. Several more back here that can also be seen. And I'm sure there's several more around here. Actually, I can see more over here. And it's a massive complex. I mean, that's about half a mile away. Same with these, half a mile or so away. So the complex that was here is absolutely massive. So especially after coming back from the ancient site of Cahokia, Cahokia is around this size. You know, Cahokia has a huge, massive, called the Monk Mound. It's a place where the chieftain and the spiritual leaders of society were. And then there was burial mounds scattered throughout as well. And it's a similar feeling and sensation being able to look at this massive valley and see at some point there were, you know, communities and tribes of people coming together to celebrate at this monument, much like they were doing in Cahokia. The feeling I had in Cahokia is the same feeling I'm having here right now, of the grandeur of spiritual design at one point, of the size of the community that could have existed here and the amount of people that could have been coming here to celebrate the ancient times. For hundreds and thousands of years, the site was used. That's something else I learned from the signage back there. The signage, I learned that there was actually evidence for something here, I think 10 or 12,000 years ago as well. So there's potential that people have been using the site here at Stonehenge for 10,000 years, long before Stonehenge was built. And so the fact that it was used 12,000 years ago potentially as an ancient site, people have been getting buried here for so long. So the site that we see now is not what was left due to the times in history, but the site has been stewarded by multiple people. The Celts did not build this. That is the biggest misconception people think, is that this is a Celtic thing. It is not Celtic. The people that built this were a different culture that migrated from Central Europe, and then the Celtic people ended up running them out. And even like the Britons, the people that were here when the Romans were here, aren't exactly Celtic. So that's just something to remember, and something always to note, is even though this is commonly considered like a Celtic site, and you commonly see it like kind of referenced as like the Celtic holy place, it's not Celtic in origin. It was used possibly by the Celtic people, but then it kind of fell into disrepair into the Christian era, and it wasn't until much later that it was used again by modern pagans and druids.
Now, if Stonehenge existed in a vacuum away from any other ancient sites, I believe I would be more enamored with it. But while looking at the stones, my mind kept wandering only a few miles away to the site of Avebury, which has captured my imagination ever since learning about it. Avebury is from the same time period of Stonehenge, and would have been built and used by similar, if not the same, culture and group of people. Some of the stones at Avebury weigh even more than the ones at Stonehenge, measuring an incomprehensible 40 tons, and over 100 stones were used to construct the largest known stone circle in all of the world. More interestingly to me is the large amount of additional sites located close by, including Salisbury Hill, a massive man-made mound with completely unknown purposes. And then there are also other various stone monuments and passage graves that can be found all around the mysterious and beautiful site of Avebury.
So after just leaving Stonehenge, only a few miles away, this place, this entire village, is built within the remains of a stone circle, and not just one, but multiple stone circles. And I think what makes this so incredible is it feels more living and breathing. There's a road right here, I can literally touch the stones. And to me, personally, again, I'm not a scholar, what I see in these places is the spiritual connection. And to a place like this, where people are still interacting, they're still feeling and experiencing, there's a town, there's a village here. This feels more alive compared to Stonehenge. Stonehenge feels more like a museum of a place that is very beautiful and very powerful. But Avebury feels just more alive spiritually. And I think it's a lot like what Adriella was talking about earlier, is the fact that people there are only they're taking that picture and then they're leaving. Whereas here, people, I think, are giving more. I saw someone praying to a tree over here. I know people leave offerings here. I've seen pictures online of people leaving offerings and wishes. And so the spirituality here is more alive on a daily basis. A video I'm working on right now is spending 30 days in Glastonbury, 30 days trying to live the most spiritual life. And one of the experiments I'm running in that video is saying yes to every new experience. And the reason that I met Adriel and I ended up here in Avebury is because I was able to just say yes to these experiences and kind of follow the spirituality and the spiritual flow of life. And that's why I'm here right now. It's why I'm able to see Stonehenge. It's why at Stonehenge I recorded Adriel singing a song. And the reason he wanted to sing this song is so he could help restore that energy, to give back to Stonehenge, to give back to that energy. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And I know someone came up to him and thanked him, and people applauded him for singing this song. And so here you have a man from Argentina connecting to a place like Stonehenge and singing to it. That's a really beautiful thing. And I think that's why I like Avebury more. And I would recommend, of course, visiting Stonehenge. But Avebury, it's free besides parking to get here. It has a very unique vibe, a very unique calling to the spiritualness here. And it has this amazingly cute town as well. Like this little village in the city center is so cute. And so I think it calls more to the culture of England, more so than Stonehenge. It's not like I'm trying to rat on Stonehenge. That's not what I want this video to be. I think the main takeaway here is just how much there was to the ancient world when it came to the people of Britain, the people that were well before Big Ben and the Tower of London, the people even before Boudica. This land has such a rich and deep spiritual history. You know, only 15 miles, 16 miles apart, here we have this massive sections of stone circles. Multiple stone circles here in Avebury. Stonehenge not too far away with all these burial mounds. The spiritual community that existed in this area of England alone. I know there's so many burial mounds and barrows, truly amazing. The ancient spiritual community that existed in this area of the world to build so many beautiful and wonderful sites that we can still experience today. And so that's what I want you to leave with in this video, is an appreciation for the ancient world, a little awareness of the over-commercialization of Stonehenge, and how we as people need to give back to these sites more. Don't just be the person that goes and takes the picture and walks away. Have a little moment of gratitude, a moment of thanks. I know before I left Stonehenge, I stopped and touched the earth, and I felt it, and I kissed the earth for the ancestors and the people that built them. So let's all do, I think, a better job at giving back to these ancient sites. So thank you very much, and I can't wait to see you in the next video here, The Wisdom of Odin, exploring the ancient world, ancient spiritualities, and how they are alive today.